Hey there everybody, how's it going? So I tried to make this video outside and there was a basset hound or a beagle that decided to get in on the action. And in the background, all you could hear every 5, 10, 15 seconds was "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Yeah, but it was a pretty day out. It was 45 degrees, 40-ish, 42, 43. No wind, very nice day, but video didn't happen. So yeah, reasons why you should get the X-T5, X-H2, or X-H2s. A lot of videos out there with titles like you shouldn't get, why you shouldn't get the X-T5, or why I'm not getting the X-T5, why I'm sticking with the X-T3, why I'm going to use my dad's Kodak Brownie from 1950. Whatever. I'm not sure why it's dump on Fuji week, but or month, but it has been for the past couple of months, and it's pretty crazy. The upshot of it all is after getting to use these cameras for a while and seeing the results, and so far I haven't done anything really spectacular. I haven't had the opportunity with Christmas and the weather, etc. But from what I've seen so far of the performance, and not just the 40 megapixel sensor in the X-T5 and X-H2, but the overall performance of these cameras, this is the biggest step forward that Fuji has made of all the generations that they've had. Seriously. And I'm not talking about the 40 megapixel sensor, although there's, that's a step forward as well, regardless of what people are saying. Okay, but the processing speed, well, we'll get into it. So first thing I want to talk about is a general thing about Fuji in general. And, if you buy into a camera system, one of the things that you should consider is where do you send it if it breaks? Where do you get your warranty service? Who does your warranty service for you? And who repairs it? If you're out of warranty, where do you send it, right? So back in the day when it was Canon or Nikon, it was very simple. If you had a Canon, you sent it to Canon. And if you had a camera that said Nikon on it or a lens that said Nikon on it, you sent it to Nikon. Cool. That's still the way it is. All right. I've had dealings with Canon service and it's been excellent. They're very professional, no screwing around. They didn't rip you off. Yeah, this was years ago, but I don't think they've changed. I mean, they still have a good reputation. So does Nikon. There's the outlier every once in a while. Somebody gets ticked off, something didn't happen right, but that happens in any company. But the good news is Nikon servicing Nikons and Canon servicing Canons. That's as good as it gets, right? Okay. So what about Fuji? Well, Fuji cares enough in the United States, at least. I can't speak for other countries, but Fuji cares enough in the United States that Fuji has their own dedicated repair facility. If your Fuji breaks under warranty or breaks in general out of warranty, you send it back to Fuji and they fix it. Which again, that's Nikon or Canon, that's pro level. That's as good as it gets. That's the kind of service you want, okay? And Fuji repair service, from what I can tell from forums and things and people talking, has a good reputation. All right, well, it reflects on Fuji if they screw up, right? Okay. So now let's talk about some other companies, and it's kind of fascinating, and there's one really big surprise in here. So Pentax, we understand Pentax. I mean, 20 years ago, Pentax had their own repair facility in Colorado. They even had, for a brief period of time, Pentax Professional Services. And Pentax, I knew the guy in the repair department. You could call him up. I think his name was Vernon or something. I forget. It's been a long time. There was a guy named Richard there too. But you could call. I had his phone number. He gave me his phone number, and I could call him up and say, this is the problem I'm having. And he said, this is how you fix it. Or he'd say, send me parts. Or a couple of times I sent cameras back to him, no problem. When Ricoh took over, so yeah, I guess that was pre like 2000 whatever. When Ricoh took over, like that, they shut all that down. All those people lost their jobs. And Ricoh has an office where they do the ad copy for the copiers. The Ricoh copying machines. And there's one guy with a desk that part-time answers the phone for Pentax. I mean, it's really bad. And because, Pentax went out of business. Let's be honest. And so who did Pentax, when they didn't care at all anymore about repairing your camera, who did they choose for authorized Pentax repair? They chose a company called Precision Camera. I think they're based in New York. Precision Camera has a crap reputation. Okay, all you have to do is look, use a search engine. Is Precision Camera any good? There's plenty of horror stories out there. They're a third-party camera repair. They repair all different kinds of cameras, and Pentax just chose them to be their authorized repair center. That's as bad as it gets, okay? But we expect, kind of come to expect that from Pentax, all right? Olympus, another camera company, went out of business. I mean, are they still in business? I don't know. I don't care. I mean, they kind of are, they kind of aren't. I'm not sure they're going to last very, very long, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, guess what? Precision Camera, you got it. Okay, so Panasonic Lumix, right? Panasonic Lumix, they make toasters, they make radios, and God knows what else. They make razors, they make electric razors. Okay, so they make cameras as well, and in the United States, they care enough about their cameras that if your Panasonic camera breaks under warranty, you can send it to Precision and they'll fix it for you. But here's the most surprising one of all, okay? Sony, who is a big company now, has a lot of market share, right? They're the people everybody's gunning for. They're the ones that everybody thinks is the greatest camera out there right now. Except that, as big as they are and as much money as Sony's making, yeah, if your camera breaks, guess what? You get the privilege and the distinct enjoyment of sending that camera back to Precision Camera. Just makes you really wonder, do they really care? Personally, I don't think they do, right? It's about making money. And ironically, Sony, there's a lot of stories of Sony cameras just falling apart and needing repair. And there's a lot of horror stories that like the 24 to 70 f4 Zeiss lens. Evidently the glue it falls apart is on some of the lenses and the focusing motors don't work. It's a simple repair. Like there's videos on YouTube on how to do it yourself. It's an $800 lens that Precision will charge you $800 to fix. So it's a disposable lens if it breaks, okay? All right, well, that's enough bashing Olympus, Sony, Panasonic, and Pentax. However, it's not really bashing. I mean, if it's a fact, and it's not bashing, all right? If those cameras break, you send them to Precision, and Precision has a bad reputation. So I beat that to death, but it is something to consider, okay? And it's a feather in the cap of Fuji that even though they're not as big as Canon or Nikon, they are committed to getting your camera repaired properly. Impressive. So, all right. Why should you upgrade to an X-T5, X-H2, or X-H2s? Well, for the X-H2 and X-T5, it's not the 40 megapixel sensor, although the 40 megapixel sensor is probably the best sensor that Fuji's ever put into a camera body in terms of APS-C size cameras. If you're thinking like, I'm not going to upgrade to the 40 megapixel sensor because the images won't be as good as my 26 megapixel images, yeah, you're totally mistaken. Like, they will be better. Like, unequivocally, I can say that. All right. All these, armchair tests and all this nonsense out there, like, yeah, and it isn't just an nth degree better in terms of resolution, but overall, and there is maybe a quarter of a stop more noise at ISO 10,000. Yeah. But then again, you have higher resolution, so it's easily cleaned up. And, I think that Andy Mumford kind of showed that, like, you can, yes, initially from the camera, there's more noise, but when you clean it up, it cleans up better than the 26 megapixel images. So, yeah. So, and as far as resolution is concerned, Andy Mumford, myself, and there's a couple other people, there are tests out there and people who have looked at the image quality from the sensor in a really good way, and they have no complaints. So the people who are, testing their cameras and they're getting wonky results, You know, they're getting wonky results, okay? There's no way that the 40 megapixel sensor is less sharp than the 26 megapixel sensor, all right? That's just the way it is, sorry. And so, but having said that, that's not the reason to get an X-T5 or an X-H2. I mean, it's a great thing to have. And I've said this in the 3 videos I've made on this topic already. It's a great thing to have, but the real benefits of the X-T5, X-H2, and X-H2s, first off, I have to say the bigger battery. The 235 battery is great. I take 2 of those with me instead of 5 126 batteries. Yeah, so right there, that's a great reason to upgrade. The processing speed is so much faster in these new cameras, and these new cameras are so much zippier and so much like all the things work on them. The auto white balance, the auto exposure, particularly in video, right? It's just and that leads to the autofocus. This is the biggest leap forward that Fuji has made in terms of autofocus performance. For video, it is Sony level quality eye autofocus. It's as good as Sony. I just rely on it. I don't even have to worry about it. I know it's on my eyes and it's great. Okay. So yeah, you know, that's what you upgrade for. Those are the things you upgrade for. And is it worth the upgrade? Absolutely. I'm with Roman Fox when he says the X-H2 is probably the best value proposition, right? I mean, you know, you have to really want those dials because you are giving up some functionality on the X-T5. If you're only a stills photographer, the X-T5 is fine. But for, I think in the United States, it's $300 more for the X-H2. Yeah, you're getting a lot more camera. You're getting a lot more flexibility and a lot more of a jack of all trades kind of a camera with the X-H2. So the X-T5 is more of a niche camera, and I think it's kind of expensive for what it is. The X-H2s, if you need that camera, well, you know you need that camera, and you know I'm not going to talk about that. It's expensive, but it's a really great camera for what it does. That's more of a movie, you know, and fast action stills oriented camera. Although having said that, the X-H2 is no slouch. So there it is. One other thing I'll add, I kind of wish, I really like the CF Express Type B cards. Like when I'm downloading stuff to my computer, man, or uploading, or however that works, whichever direction that goes in, plug the card in, bam, you know, because the files are huge, particularly the video files in 4K, you know, and yeah, it just worked. You know, I wish the X-T5 had a CF Express Type B card slot. I really do. I wish that the X-H2s had 2 of them. Like, I'm ready to move on. Like, I'm done with SD cards, right? If I can get 512 gigabytes on a 1700 megabyte per second card for $170, $160, yeah, that's what you're paying. I think in some ways you're paying more for the fastest SD cards, which is ridiculous. Okay, I just like the size better on the CF Express Type B cards. They just seem more substantial. Yeah, so don't let that throw you on the X-H2 and X-H2s. I love the CF. I wish they had 2 slots, to be honest with you. So, and I think in the future that's where it might be headed because, you know, as we get to 8K and 6K RAW and all this nonsense. I mean, at 4K, 200 megabytes per second, I'm getting 2 gigs a minute. Think about that. Like those are big files. So if I do a 10-minute video, that's 20 gigabytes, right? And that takes a while to upload. But so I'll take all the speed I can get with that. So yeah, tried to make this video out in the field. Just third time's a charm. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. We'll see you out there. Got to get out and do some photography. The weather's been off and on, and it's been really windy, and you know, and rainy and all the rest of it. So anyway, we'll see you out there. Have a great one. Thanks for watching. Bye.